I'm waiting to see if I can watch my own stream. So I want to welcome you in the archived version to... Nice. Okay, now I need to mute it somehow. Alright. So it seems like it's working. So my idea is to, just like many things on my regular channels, let's say on the YouTube channel and here, is to do things that I already do, and if it's of value to the mass out there, or at least can inspire some people, then I want to share it if possible. And in this particular case I want to show you one of the things that I always do and that I recommend everyone to do: analyze your games. And in this case I don't go through all the subtleties. I'm going to analyze the openings from my Blitz games, and the idea is to give you a taste for the Patreon tier and what you're gonna get if you were to get the Bish tier. So on top of all the other things, the previous rewards, you get a database that includes all of my games. As you can see, 325 games from March. I've played some games on April as well. I will play some Blitz games online this month. Every single month you'll get a database with these games if you find value in them. And the idea is that I'm analyzing all of these games with computer for my own sake in order to improve, with emphasis on the opening, and you will be able to see the different suggestions that I have every single month. And I think for those of you who are a little bit more ambitious or think openings are valuable for you, then it could be a very good way to invest your time to check my games with my annotations. And I honestly think that it's a good idea to copy one of my many different openings. I play at least 3 with each color, so if you find one of them interesting, I focus on getting very interesting positions with a lot of play. And if you were to copy one of them, then you could just look at these games in the relevant openings and learn a lot of high quality, high value suggestions that simply don't exist anywhere else, as far as I know. So all the cutting edge material, and other than my opinion, you will obviously get some recommendation by a strong engine. So in this particular case I reached game number 205. Not sure if you can see it on the screen here. For some reason it doesn't show. Let me see if I can fix it a bit. Try to get it a bit. It just doesn't show the number. But you see this game right here is 205 out of 325. And I'm going to go through it and see if you guys like the idea. And I love to hear some suggestions. So first I'll mention that normally I can, after I go through the openings, I'm going through the entirety of the games for checking blunders, and I'll do it on another occasion, but in this particular case I'll just go through, let's say, 45 more games while streaming, and you'll see what it is that I do and how I work on openings. Basically I do many different things, but this is one of them. So theoretically speaking, and let me just mention that over here you can see how much I'm paying for an engine that I'm renting, and I've been renting it for 3 hours straight because I'm paying 0.01 ducat per minute, and the engine is Stockfish 8, and if you don't know what a ducat is a currency used by chess base, and let's say 10 ducats is worth €1, so it's not so much, but still 3 hours already. So let's continue. So I'll move to the board. Alright, so this is what I have. Now, I actually forgot to mention on YouTube that I'm live streaming now, so many of the potential viewers from YouTube probably will not be aware of this, but you know what? It's their problem because they don't follow on Twitch. So who cares? Okay, so now I'm playing white. This was a mouse slip, I remember it. And here's the point. I'm going through the game and I have the assumption that I'm playing good moves, and I can also verify in the opening up to a point where I make a mistake. And then at that point, for example here, I see that I made a mistake, and I just mention that it's not a good move, and the better move was d takes c5. Now theoretical move, okay, usually the bishop is on g5 and they play bishop c4, so, but I just mention h3. Okay, this is not really an advantage, but somewhere in between equality and a slight advantage. And I just mentioned that bishop d3 is not good because of e5. So as you can see, this is how it will normally look in the database. And I just want to mention that this is not a good example because I didn't play a very principled opening, but in most of my games, if not in the vast majority, I'm playing my real openings and showing my real analysis. So I think it can be very valuable for those of you who are interested in improving your chess. And yeah, I'm aspiring to play my real opening choices in all of the games, not only some, but sometimes I lose concentration in Blitz. So moving to the next game. So let's see, doesn't work at this point, so I'll try to do it again. I need to exit the window, hope it will not ruin anything. So, no, it does. Okay, excuse me. I'll fix it in a moment. No. Not the right idea. Wasn't what I intended to do. Okay. So let's open it again and see if it's working. Okay. I think it will work now. Okay, so next game. Excuse me for one moment. It's not really working. Sorry. Okay, I'm a little bit cold. So here I'm analyzing the next game. Let's capture the cursor again. Okay, so sorry for the minor issue. So okay, I'm playing black. So b3 is a rare move. And now I'm curious if d5 was correct or not. Usually I spend between 1 minute to 20 minutes on each game. Sometimes I can really look deep before I make up my mind of what is the best move. And I really want to set a very high standard of say 2700 plus when analyzing my openings. So even if some people see it as a waste of time, I think in the long run it will pay off. So d5 doesn't seem like a mistake. Bishop b2 does. but as I mentioned, I just want to improve one move at least per game, and all I need to do in order to achieve it is to check the first point where I made an inaccurate move and offer an improvement. So it seems like in this particular game I'm playing well so far, and now rook e8 was also the best. a5 was probably slightly inaccurate because of knight a3. So now I'm gonna mention that white had this option, and instead of a5 I should probably have played queen c7, even though I'm curious why just developing isn't good enough. It's probably quite good. I guess he wants b4, and here he also. Okay, so queen c7 for some reason doesn't allow b4, because I go b6. And just for my own sake, I usually don't write it in the actual notations, but I like to understand the differences in the position. So here, for example, after b5, it's not as convincing for some reason, even though it's much better. I guess bishop f5 is also good, but queen c7 followed by b6 allows me to go knight a5. Seriously? No, knight e7 is much more logical. Yeah, and I guess the queen here is more valuable than the bishop going to f5 in this position. So that's the idea. Now I'll save it this way. Moving on to the next game. Okay, I'm playing white. Again, I'm playing my mainline theory. Okay, d6 is a little bit less than perfect, and f4 was played. So as far as I remember, f4 is not the most accurate move. I remember looking at this particular variation in a past game, maybe on the same database, and here I decided that the move I liked was something like bishop e2, if I'm not wrong. So I have someone in the chat already asking what next game I will show, but okay, I would like to focus on chess mostly, but feel free to suggest other games. I'm an adventurous person. Yeah, bishop e2 as mentioned, and the nice point behind it is that I'm reserving the option to play f4 later, but I'm also kind of preparing g4 if needed. And if you just play bishop e7, then maybe now f4. I like to play more aggressively than just knight f3, but I don't know, f4 feels good. Yeah, castles g4. Nah. Yeah, this is probably the way. So f4 immediately, of course it's good, but after e5 it's slightly less convincing. So I normally mention what I find to be the best move, and the point is now that after e5, by not playing f4, I kind of save some time. And this is like the old King's Indian with the tempo up, which is really nice. Or should I say initiative for white. Alright, moving on to the next game. Yeah. Seems like it's working. And black. Same opening. Now I remember playing f6. Yes. This is an inaccurate move, as you can see. So I'm mentioning it. And a3 wasn't the way to punish me. Probably knight bishop b5 or knight c3. I get the feeling that knight c3 is a little bit more annoying. but no, bishop c4 turns out to be the best for now. So I'll just mention better, bishop c4 is a better move. Now it's plus equals. And instead of f6, I'd recommend myself to play something else. I'm gonna let the computer think a bit. In the meantime, I'll try to look at the position and understand it better. So I could go bishop f5, I could go knight db4, but if knight db4 is working, there is no doubt this is the move. And as you can see, it's a good idea. Now d3, bishop f5, forcing e4, and now black is better. Moving on to the next game. Yaakov Norwitz, I'm playing white. Okay, he goes for this gambit that he likes, the Fajarowicz gambit. And now g3 followed by knight h4 is considered to be the refutation, but he keeps playing it, getting a lost position, and then outplaying me completely. So, good job on his part. Seems like I knew all the right moves, and even knight d2 managed to find, which is surprising, but I tend to be kind of decent in the openings every now and then. And now instead of rook b1, maybe rook a2. Nah, b1 is good, so every single move is the best so far. And queen c2 was a slight hiccup. And now immediately, no, still was better for me. But instead of queen c2, so I played like 14 perfect or near perfect moves and got a very close to winning position. And now b5 was the best move, with the idea here to play knight e4. So that's my improvement. Now I'm moving on. And of course you can assume that all the moves before the brackets are the best or very close to being the best, so you can safely copy it without rechecking what I'm writing. Okay, so now bishop g5, I took on c4. After queen a4, check, knight bd7 is also possible. Both of them are fine, so there is no reason to point out one over the other. That's what I played. I think bishop b7 is correct. And over here you can see people who analyze this in the position in the past, this particular position with a high depth, and you can see what engine was used. So if someone reached depth 30, then it can save me some time, because it's the same engine, it will recommend the same moves with the same evaluation. It's as far as I know, it's a deterministic algorithm, so it will achieve the same result given the same input, same position, with the same depth and so on. So I can rely on these recommendations instead of waiting for my cloud engine to reach that same recommendation. So this can be very handy, and I really like this feature on ChessBase. It's been a game changer for me. So far I'm still playing good moves. Now bishop d2. Seems like the game has been quite interesting and unbalanced, and now is where it probably started to go wrong. This move was very, very bad. And now white is just much better. I don't know why I played it. I think I just lacked concentration at that moment. But again, who cares what's my excuse? Let's just focus on what's the best move. In fact, knight b4 doesn't feel that convincing. And the computer still points out it's slightly more favorable for white. So now it moves to knight c3. And this doesn't feel equal to me. I disagree with the computer, because white has some nice center, and this pawn will come to a4 very soon. So even though I might be able to equalize if I play like the computer. It feels very risky to go for such a line. I guess the reason is that I managed to push c5 quite effectively, but then why black is not better. So anyway, knight takes c3 is the best move, and yeah. Wait. So this, sorry, I should mention counterplay perhaps, and this is good for black. I'll go a little bit backwards to see if there are any more accurate moves. There is something more precise that I can recommend. So here, bishop b7, e4, knight bd7. Seems like I played well, but somehow e5 was very convincing. So knight c3 is a very strong move. Very interesting opening play by Yaakov Norwitz in this game, and then I was more or less lost here. Yeah, c takes d5 is probably more positional, even though I lose a pawn. It's the lesser evil. Okay, moving on. I'm white, playing against Yaakov again. Same opening. Now I went queen d7. Okay, I took on f5. I managed to lose quite quickly, so this is already a mistake. f3 is the best move. Knight c5, b4. He has to take on b1. If he goes knight doesn't have a square because the bishop is hanging, so he has to take. I take, knight e6, ed6, and this is obviously very close to winning. Probably already completely winning from objective point of view. Okay, moving on. Playing black. Playing the Grunfeld defense, one of the main lines. My opponent sacrifices the pawn, and knight takes d4 is a well-known equality, but it's slightly annoying if you don't remember all the precise moves. And I also wanted to play for a win. Yaakov tends to be very dangerous, especially in Blitz, because he plays very quickly, and if I manage to equalize, it still takes me some time to find the moves, and he tries to flag me, and very often he succeeds. So I didn't want to allow it. I wanted to maintain some complexity. So just mentioned this is equal. Now knight a5. Castles was probably inaccurate, no? Bishop d7 was better. Yes, so just mention this was a better move. Moving on. Okay. I'm playing white against Yaakov. This time I had enough of losing in the gambit, even though I had the winning position, so I played knight f3, the Budapest gambit after e5. Yeah, this one. So now we move to the Bogo Indian. d5 is not a common move, and I didn't remember the correct response during the game. It's very possible I never even studied it. I looked at castles, which is the main move. b6 is another option, but even c5, but d5 I'm not familiar with, so I would probably grant it an inaccurate mark. And hello Sin Hellas from Texas. So queen a4 check seems to be the correct way to punish my opponent, forcing knight c6 because the bishop is hanging. Now a3 followed by e3. Seems like a very pleasant position to play. That's nice. And yeah, moving on. Playing with black. This time I decided to take, which proved to be not the best, as I mentioned before. I mean, objectively it's of course equalizing, but just not convincing. Exactly what I was describing. I didn't want to look through the game in itself, but you see I just got this rook ending. And okay, I blundered e4, but so did he. Anyway, this is a completely equal rook ending, and yeah, just blundered. But I got nervous because he's always trying to flag me and always very close to it, or just succeeds very easily. So yeah. So in this regard, just mention that not sure if bishop e6 is the best. Maybe queen c4, rook d8, so many moves. Even rook e8. Bishop e6 after rook b7 immediately is slightly less precise. Yeah, this position looks harmless, but from professional point of view I would like to, I mean, if I choose to play it, I have to analyze it for like half an hour and understand the subtleties and the differences between the different options, because there could be 3 different options that a computer shows 0-0, but some of them are more difficult to play than others, and I need to really understand the position before choosing what to play. And this is part of the service that I will do for you by recommending the lines. You'll know that I'm not only recommending a line computer gives an advantage, but choosing which one is the most human as well, and the easiest to play or to understand. So yeah, bishop e6. I'm not sure. It's really hard to say, but for the moment I'll just mention probably this very forced line. No, this is protected. Let's go here and just mention this is equal. Okay, moving on. I'm playing queen e2. Okay, normally knight g5 is the main move here, as far as I know. And yeah, I'll just mention it's a better move. Queen e2 is interesting, threatening mate in 1. That's the only point. But still, I wanted to play on with queen f4 and just see what happens. And this is actually not so good because his bishop doesn't get to go out. But that's kind of the point of this variation. It's not that bad because it prevents the bishop from getting out easily. Anyway, I did get some advantage. So it seems like all my moves were correct up to this point, even though I like bishop d3. I guess it allows knight d5, but this is really funny to play like this, and only now bishop d3. That's really deep. I am agreeing with myself, nodding. So other than bishop d3, Okay, rook d1 was not the best as I can see. So there's no point to look further, because I'm not going to repeat the same moves if I remember the correct options for my side. So let's see. So we looked at 10 games. I said I would look at like 45 games today in this stream. So, and seems like there is some way to go. Here I was just copying my opponent. Nothing special. I like to do it against this line sometimes in Blitz, because psychologically it can be very disturbing for them, and they spend time thinking on each move and I don't. And of course at some point I stopped copying them, but yeah, just in this particular game it was very nice. d5 felt really nice to do it. Okay, just a pure form of trolling, yeah, and now we made a draw. Okay, I would call it a perfect game. No remarks required. Okay, so now we're moving on to my match against Alon Mindlin, which was streamed on my YouTube channel, and we played it on leeches. I think knight c3 is the best move. Yeah, so knight bd2 was, it's possible, but I don't think it's the most precise, so yeah. I honestly don't remember. I analyzed it pretty deeply, but I have to check it. So knight c3. Yeah, I'm not sure. Computer likes knight bd2 as well, so I cannot say knight c3 is better. Let's just say it's interesting. I'll check it for myself in my analysis later, but from the openings point of view, even if it's not the line I recommend to myself to play, it is still a line, and I would like to see where I play the sub-par move. So a3 could potentially be the one, because bishop e2, castles, this bishop doesn't do much, and if you play d6, maybe knight b3, and this bishop is in a little bit of trouble. I mean, I'm inducing b6, which should be good. So I'll mention this is slightly more preferable for white, and I think knight d2 is in fact the right move here. Knight c3 allows a bit more complications. Yeah, so I would say that a3 was my inaccuracy, even though I'm still slightly more pleasant, and yeah, the game, I'm curious. It's not the point of this stream, but just want to see how I managed to ruin my advantage. So c5 was the way. h3 was a little bit too hasty. Okay, so now I'm playing black. He plays one of the main openings in this complex. Yeah, and he allows bishop e6, maybe is more precise, because now if he goes knight d2, I don't have much time for bishop c6, or at least I allow bishop takes c6, which is double-edged and sometimes unpleasant. So it's better to avoid it if possible, without proper knowledge. Yeah, now he allowed it anyway. Yeah, knight e4 was inaccurate by him. We already have some leeches computer analysis here. So anyway, a3 was another inaccuracy by him, and now knight d5. So instead of knight d5, this was probably the best improvement. And yeah, wow, we actually blundered a piece. I can't believe it. And I missed it so in a Blitz game. I remember being too busy talking and entertaining myself and the audience, but yeah, But it's not an excuse, I should be able to focus. So let's see. Moving on. I'm playing white. Oh, this is a line I really like to play. Just completely crushing. And I'm curious actually what's the most precise move. Yeah, 97 is silly. B5 is probably correct, and now knight d4. Maybe there is a more precise move like queen d4, because the endgame is a little bit more depressing for black. I managed to ruin it. No, knight d4 is good. e3 looks good. Rook c1 as well, planning bishop a5. Oh, e3 is actually an inaccuracy. Now rook c1. Still feels like I should be very close to winning. But he got some pretentious compensation, I have to admit. Kind of tricked me a little bit, and I understand how I managed to ruin it later on. So probably the most precise would be rook c1, because here there's knight f5. Okay, let's follow the engine. Rook c1, knight d7, now e3, so it's similar to the game. Now if knight c5, then queen a3 is a tempo, actually wins the piece. So this is nice, and very difficult for him to develop, because here bishop a5 can come. Yeah, it's really nice. Or queen a3, threatening to trap his queen with bishop a5. Queen g6 is the best, and now queen c2, offering the exchange of queens. Should I even put it this way? Nice game, at least from the opening point of view. Alright, so now we played some random opening. The Vienna c5 was another inaccuracy. I think queen e7 is better. Yeah, more flexible, probably not objectively better than c5. And now the point is this is okay, yeah. After c5, yeah, knight takes was slightly inaccurate and he exploited it. So bishop takes is another improvement for me. Followed by queen c7, queen b8. Interesting. Okay, moving on. I'm playing white. Seems like everything is theoretical here, but for some reason the engine prefers rook g1 over b4, which is puzzling. I thought the point of a3 here is to play b4. I guess after knight dc5, but in a sense a4 is kind of a strategical threat, so either b4 or at least b3 by white is called for. I don't know. I let it think for a while, because in the King's Indian computers can take a lot of time to understand the position, if at all. And yeah, I really don't feel like I'm sure how to play here. I mean, there's so many options. There's knight d2, sorry. There's rook g1, b4 obviously, b3. Sometimes queen c2 is a good move. Even bishop e2, so many options, and it's difficult to understand the subtleties. So one of the things I like to do sometimes, out of laziness or just efficiency, I can excuse it, just to let the computer think and then go do something else while it's thinking, and when it's getting to a deeper to a high depth, I'm just relying on the output of the engine, and I try to understand the offer rather than the difference between all the 6 options. So here 92 is the recommendation. So, well, I understand why b4 is not that tempting, because now he can get his knight to d4 probably, right? Ah no, knight a6 followed by c5. Okay, so c5. I see. So instead, I should... So b4 is just inaccurate, so knight d2 was the best for now. And the point is that if f5, then I can... Usually I take with the e pawn. Yeah. But now I can just take twice. Another interesting positional move sometimes is f3, but or g5, but not here. Okay, and this, because of this knight here, he has to lose some time. And if he goes to b6, then I can play b4. Sorry, if he goes to f6, queen c2 is nice. Yeah. Okay, this is just bad. Now b6, long castle. I like h4, bishop h3, but it allows knight g4, so... It's not that simple yet. Still very complex position. And from human perspective, I'm still not very convinced. And the computer also is kind of unsure. Keeps changing its mind. Hello, Carl McKinley. These games are from my chess.com streams on March. And they are part of the Patreon rewards. I think this reward is titled the Bish. And it's the $30 tier. And before people think it's too expensive, it includes 5 or 6 previous rewards that I think are all useful for your chess improvement if it's something that concerns you. Okay, now the engine suddenly has some insights. Bishop e2. And well, earlier for some reason I thought it was good for black with h5, but this is really deep. f3, quite amazing, giving up the piece, and the bishop here is just beautiful, like a pawn. It's like having 2 pawns for a piece. So what a lovely bishop. I really enjoy discovering this line. What a fantastic idea. So I'll even give knight d2 an exclam because it has this point behind it. Okay, moving on. So again, some normal variation. Queen e2 is a very rare move. The main move here is knight a4. And here there's just to quickly mention, there is a nice game between Gi and Carlsen in the playoff of the Qatar Masters. And unfortunately for Gi, in this position, instead of bishop e5 with equality, he played queen d1, and here he's just lost because of the fork. So interesting, very interesting experience. I watched it live and it was really exciting to see, and I felt kind of bad for the guy. So I'm not sure how to spell Gi, so I'll invent something. Oh, probably I don't know even how to spell Carlsen, right? Okay. I think I can check it actually, so Young. Yeah. Almost 2 years ago. So I wrote it backwards. Okay, back to the point. I kind of wasted the time there. Usually a wise thing to do is while I was talking about these variations, I could have locked the engine on this position, and the entire time I was like explaining this, it would still be thinking on the relevant position. And yeah, locking the engine is very useful. And I will do some series sooner or later about explaining my working methods and all the shortcuts and everything, and generally how to work on openings and so on, and how to work with engines. So it's a good idea. I think many people don't know all these applications, including the grandmasters I was talking to, were not aware of this analyze thread and lock engine. And yeah, there are many options that are really cool. Okay, so now after queen e2, seems like, okay, from what I remember, I actually went through my analysis at some point, and now there is a nice positional line to take in bishop e4, and exchanging these bishops is a good idea in that structure, because this is the bad bishop. So I'm exchanging these. Let's mark it this way. This is what I think to be the best move. And now after bishop e4, so let's actually check if that's what the engine is saying. Ah, it says knight e4, seriously? So maybe bishop, no, but okay, this is one of those cases where I will ignore the engine, because exchanging these bishops is just good. Because after knight e4, imagine the computer wants to go d5 later, and it's so obvious that without the light squared bishops it would be more beneficial. So you see, it's also equal. Okay, just ignore it. This is better from human point of view, is to play like this. I get, oh sorry, but I see the difference. I mean, this is like allowing him to push e4, even though it's fine. And so I'll just mention knight e4 as well in case someone wants to play it, because now if knight d2 I can take on c3. Well, even though it's still kind of unbalanced, because he has bishop h7 check, but the best move for him is knight e1, and now d5. Okay, we have more pieces on the board, so there's more chance for both sides to win, so I like it as well. Let's just type unclear. Okay, so cd4 from the game was slightly inaccurate, because if he takes with the pawn, then he's getting a slight advantage. Okay, so bishop c3 was the best, followed by bishop e4, with knight e4 being the more dynamic option. Okay, moving on. Okay, French defense. Play bishop takes f6. Seems legit. Took with the bishop. And now bishop takes b7 is not the best. This is funny. I thought it was a good move. Turns out he has full compensation. Yeah, I was worse very quickly. So bishop b7 was just greedy. So best move was probably long castle, yeah. And now if he castles short, then g4 and h4 is a nice concept that computer doesn't understand, but now it starts to. Just the attack is coming very quickly. and black has not enough counterplay. Yes, okay, nice. So castle long is the best. And I'll just mention bishop d7, 95. Because he wants bishop c6, I guess. No, just wants queen e7 and castle long. Okay, I'm not sure what's the best move actually. But it's not h4. It cannot be. Yeah, 95 looks like the most educated move. And now if queen e7, the point is to take. Because I have bishop c6. No? Bishop e4? Yeah, bishop c6. Okay. So 94, e5 is the best, probably. Moving on. Okay, c4 is not so principled. Now knight f6, just good for black. Actually, yeah, it's funny because if he takes with the e pawn, then even this move I think is possible, but a bit complicated. Oh no, it's not this variation. I think it might be. Okay, never mind. Never really studied it anyway. So now we get bishop e7 was not the best. So a6 is better. Okay. Improvement was found. Bishop goes to d6 later. Good. Next game. So okay, this looks like an interesting move order by me. Yeah, I like this for white so far. h3 looks nice. Maybe castle long? No. I mean, it's possible with g4 ideas, but this is the classical way, because knight b6 is kind of a waste of time. Yeah, now there is always a question whether to take or to go knight e5 or to just let them be. Once again, castle long looks tempting, because if it takes, then this pawn will help me in the attack after g4. So castle long is one option, I'll just mention it, but I think the computer would like other moves as well. So castle short, knight e5, bishop d6. So since I cannot really decide, I'll lock the engine, and in the meantime I'll give a brief explanation of this line. Okay, but first of all, there is a famous trap here that you don't want to fall for. Many people play knight d5, but afterwards black can just win with this move, followed by bishop b4 check, and there is no way to block it, and now black is just a piece up, so you don't want to fall for it. And after e3 just transposes to the main lines, and here black castled. Usually c6 is the main move. I'm guessing that his idea is that if I go knight f3 to go b6, which is an interesting option. Not sure if it's any good, but I think it should be worse for black if white puts his knight on e2. So this is why I remain flexible, and queen c2 is what we play after c6 anyway. And yeah, now we played h6, which I think is slightly inaccurate. You have to play c6, and now I choose between knight f3 and knight e2. And I think even more precise for black is to start with c6, because now this knight h5 line is probably the best move here, and it's very solid. Many top players have played this line, and you can also include h6, bishop h4, but in general this is the most annoying variation. So c6 more precise than castles in my view. Yes, and okay, I think the computer likes castle short, so I'll just mention it as the best move. And okay, bishop f4, e4, bishop. Oh, castle long. Wait, it changed its mind. Okay, so never mind. This is the positional approach, and castling long is the more, let's call it aggressive approach, and I like it. So bishop f4, e4, and yeah, let's just give white the initiative. So I'll just see what if knight e5 is also good. No, it gives black more chances. Okay, moving on. I played black. I think g6 is not precise because now white has d5, and even though it's not better, it's slightly annoying. So instead, I think, I'm not sure if this is the right move order. I'm really not sure, but yeah, but it's possible to start with d5. Now if you take, then I can take with the knight, yeah. And now if you go knight c3, I go g6. No, but then queen b3. So yeah, it's possible, but it's a theoretical line that needs to be studied. Yeah, very complicated. Anyway, maybe d5 is not so annoying. I remember Fedosiev used it to beat someone recently, but I'm not sure who. d5, maybe it was d4, knight f6, c4, g6, d5. Let me just see for 1 second, because it was really a pleasant sight. This variation, Fedosiev Jerebuch, in an actual classical game. Yeah, interesting. So as far as the opening is concerned, I mean, e3 cannot really pose a threat, but another example of one of those cases where I need to really understand deeply what's the most precise move, and it's much more complex than it looks. So one option is g6, but then d5 is kind of a hybrid of a Benoni with e3, so it's considered to be close to equality, but potentially venomous. Mamedyarov used it to beat Gelfand twice, so it's not without its chances. cd4 is definitely the main move, in my opinion, but now, okay, I can choose between e6, g6, and d5. So d5 knight c3 feels wrong for black, because okay, while it's still a theoretical position, it's a transposition to the Panov variation of the Caro-Kann, which requires some knowledge and experience. So I cannot really say that it's that easy. So if I go e6, then once again, I'm not even sure what we reached, because this is not a Nimzo after bishop b4. So once again, it's the Panov. So g6 should be the move, but I guess this is fine for black, yeah. I mean, there's no reason it shouldn't be, but just remember the d5 can avoid it. Probably it's a different move order I'm thinking of. There's a line where they go knight f3, and then I go d5. Yeah, I think this is the line, because from what I remember here, if knight c3, the main move for Grunfeld players is g6, and now e3, now knight f6, d4, takes, and I don't know why, but I recall that here d5 was supposed to be a good move. I guess this queen b3 is annoying. I mean, it's not better for white, but it has to be analyzed deeply, and it has some venom, so I'm guessing that either play bishop g7 and allow the Benoni structure with the pawn on e3, which is kind of okay for black, or take, yeah, probably bishop g7 and d5 only on the next move. Okay, so bishop g7 must be the correct way from practical point of view, not objective, because I don't want to transpose to an opening, to a main line of an opening I don't necessarily play or want to play in that particular game. Especially in classical games, it's important not to get outsmarted by the move orders in the opening. You want to play one opening and study it well without being tricked into another. So bishop g7, now d5, and I need to really understand. So this is probably not really so threatening. Now castles. Let's say white just develops. So e6 looks decent. I get the feeling if I play d6 then white will have some slight space advantage, but e6 I'm getting in time to capture. So we just exchange, and now it's much more convenient. Okay. I like my chances here, so this is just equal. Moving on. Playing white. Okay. I think bishop takes e6 is the right way. Yeah. .95. This is better for white. So moving on. It's really slow. I feel like I made a lot of progress, but I only checked half of the amount of games I wanted to do in this particular stream. So I'm quite amazed that nobody really bothered to get this Patreon tier yet, because I think it's really worth a lot, and it's kind of I'm not sure I'm going to pronounce it correctly, but without any precedence, I'm not sure. This unprecedented this idea of sharing my opening wisdom that has been accumulated in the past 10 years at least, and included with a work backed up by the most powerful engines and a large amount of time spent, as you can see. But I guess I will just keep reminding people it exists until it becomes the biggest hit since I like an example, but let's just say since since the microwave, yes, or the bread, the bread maker machine. So yeah, the sliced bread, that's what I wanted to say. So here h3 is inaccurate, I'm black. 95 CD, and he gave me the opportunity to push, and I'm slightly better, even much better. Wow, CD4 was strong, and Queen B8, wow, this is nice. Anyway, from the opening point of view, I need to make sure everything was precise, so this much I know. Bishop F5 is kind of okay. C takes D4 is also possible, probably even more challenging for white because this doesn't allow D takes C5, so it's just mention it as an option. Now Bishop F5, Knight B2. Yeah, for him D takes C5 was better. And seems like everything is correct. This one allows DC5 and Knight H4, so H6 was, or Knight D7 was better. Yeah, I really like Knight D7 actually. So let's see what happens if he makes the same. Ah, he cannot play Knight D5 now. So this is really nice. Okay. Well, I like it. So moving on. You know what? I know I said I will check 45 games, but let's check 2 more because 25 are more than enough. And I need to move on. And I want to dedicate like 1 hour a day in the coming 3 weeks until the European Championship, where I will analyze these games. So in case someone does decide to purchase the Patreon tier, and yeah, I would really like to get all the games analyzed, also for my own sake. I think it will help me with my improvement. Okay, I was white. So once again this opening, but now Bishop B4, which shouldn't be the correct move. Yeah, Bishop H4, Bishop D3. The Bishop on B4 is just silly. Probably Knight F3. I honestly like Knight D2. Okay, played this. Knight D7. Queen B3 was a little bit silly. Knight F4. Alright, so this is the best move. Followed by F3. And it's better for white. And last but not least for today, Knight A5 followed by E6 was the best probably. E6 immediately allows him to do Bishop B5. Queen E7. I guess it's okay. G5, really? Missed it. And allowing Bishop H6, yeah, remember how it tricked me. If I played Queen A5 and avoided Bishop H6, I would just be completely winning. Yeah. Alright, and he found this forced draw of Queen F6. Yeah. Okay, good session overall. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll just remind you, so I can stop with the renting of the engine. It's like been 4 hours and 5 minutes, really it's a very long session for me to analyze these games, yeah, and but I think it's gonna worth it in the long run. So I'll mention quickly the different Patreon tiers that are offered. There's gonna be a link in the description if you are watching it on YouTube, and if anyone who's watching it live is interested, then I think you can find the relevant information in most of my recent videos. There's simply a link to my Patreon page everywhere. So I'll quickly mention $2 right now is getting your name in the description. $5 is receiving the database without the computer analysis. What I'm thinking of doing, like maybe the first 20 or 30 games in the $5 database. $10 Banter Blitz, and if I didn't mention, each reward includes all the previous ones. $15 once a month. There's gonna be a Q&A stream, a private Q&A stream for those who decide to support with $15 or more. 20 is a monthly group coaching for 1 hour once a month, and $25 is a simul exhibition, so one spot in a simul exhibition. I think this reward in itself, when playing in a simul against the Grandmaster, it costs like $20 or $25 just alone. So all these things I think can worth a lot, and I'm not saying this the main motivation should be your chess improvement. I think that those who've been watching me for a while should know by now that I'm basically losing money chasing my chess related dreams, and I just want to reimburse some of the expenses, not all of them. I think even if 50 of you will pay the $25 or $30 tiers, I'm still not gonna be able to reimburse everything, but I would love to try to not even make a living, but let's say lead a respectable lifestyle where I can afford to spend all my time on chess improvement and sharing my knowledge with the crowd on a daily basis. And last but not least is the $30 tier, which includes all the previous rewards plus this database that I'm showing you here with all the analyzed games and all the computer suggestions and my opinions. So that's all for now. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you learned something from this video. This is lovely, look at it, such a nice drawing. So as I was saying, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, or at least learned something from it. And if you want to learn some more, then keep watching the next videos.